Okay, hi there. So I just want to be doing sine law and cosine law today. So I'm just going to be doing those. I won't be giving a proof for them because Khan Academy already has that up. So if you want to learn about that, you can just go to Khan Academy. Yeah. So the sine law. Well, let's just start with a triangle. If we have three angles, let's use small letters for the angles, and then big letters for the sides. So if we have a triangle like that, the sine law says that sine of b divided by b, capital B, so that's the side, is going to be equal to sine of a divided by a, which will be equal to sine of c divided by c. So it's basically just saying that sine of b, so it's basically just saying sine of all of these angles divided by the sides that they're across from will be equal to the sine of any other angle divided by the side that it's across from. So let's move on to the cosine law. If you want to know why the sine law works, again, you can just go to Khan Academy. They have a great video on that. So the cosine law would state that any side, let's just pick a squared, would be equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2 bc times cosine of a. So it's a little bit more complicated, but it can actually be, you'll find that it can actually be applied to more situations, which we'll see in the examples that we'll be doing. So let's do an example on the sine law. Let's say we have a triangle. It has three sides. Let's use 10. And then we have the angle, say 20 degrees is the angle, and we know that this angle is 30 degrees. Okay, and we want to find what this angle is going to be equal to. So we know that sine of 20 degrees divided by 10 is going to be equal to sine of 30 degrees divided by x, right? So here we are applying the sine law. So the first thing we should do in algebra is we should get x away from the denominator. So if we multiply both sides by x, we can accomplish this. So we will get x times sine of 20 divided by 10 will equal sine of 30. Okay, so now we need to get x alone, right? So let's divide both sides by sine of 20 degrees. Sorry. Okay. Whoa, sorry about that. Let's just scroll back up. Okay. So now we have x divided by 10 equals sine of 30 degrees divided by sine of 20 degrees. Okay, so now let's just bring this back up here because we're running out of space. So now let's multiply both sides by 10. So we get x is equal to 10 times sine of 30 divided by sine of 20. Okay, so now that's all that's left to do is to use the calculator to find out what the sines are. So let's do sine of 30. Again, it's in degrees right now, so it should be good. Not radians. So, yeah. So degrees, sine of 30 divided by, so it's actually the, whichever one is being shown is the one that it is on. So that will get you 1.461. Well, let's round it to just 1.46. So we get 10 times 1.46 equals x. So then we get x equals 14.6. Okay, so we know that this side is going to be 14.6. Okay, so moving on to the cosine example. So the cosine example, like I said before, can be used for more things than the sine example. So it can actually be applied when you are just given the triangle's sides, and you can find an angle with it. Whereas with sine, you can't. So the sine law and cosine law can be used for triangles that do not have right angles, but the cosine law can only be used if, the cosine law can be used for more than just the sine law. So, for example, if you were given 20, 30, and 40, right, then you would be able to plug all of these things in and you wanted to find this angle maybe. Okay, so let's just rewrite the cosine law. We have a squared will equal, sorry, I'm using undercase now. It really doesn't matter, but I'm just going to use undercase now, plus b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times the cosine of, well, in this case we used theta, so we didn't use the letters. We just used the notation theta because there's only one theta. Okay, so we know a squared is going to be the side that is across from theta, right? So a squared must be 40, right? I mean, a must be 40 because it's the side that's across from the angle that we're trying to get. So we can say 40 squared equals, and then b and c can be any which sides. It doesn't matter which you choose. So we can just say 30 squared plus 20 squared. Doesn't matter. So then we do minus 2 times 30 times 20 times cosine of theta. So the variable we're trying to get is theta. Okay, so now let's start to simplify. We get 1600 equals 900 plus 400 minus 60 times 20 is 1200 times cosine of theta. Okay, so now if we start to simplify this, 1600 equals 1300 minus 1200 cosine of theta. Okay, so now let's subtract 1300 from both sides. So 300 equals minus 1200 cosine of theta. Okay, so we divide both sides by 1200, or we can both divide both sides by 100. We can get 3 equals minus 12 cosine of theta, and then we can divide both sides by negative 12, so we get negative 1/4 equals cosine of theta. And how do we get theta? Well, we can use arc, like we used before. So we can use arc cosine of cosine of theta will get you just theta. So then that gets you, so what we actually have to do is we have to do arc cosine of minus 1/4. So let's get rid of that. And we'll say inverse, remember? So cosine to the negative 1 is the same thing as arc cos of minus 1 divided by 4 equals 104. Let's just round. Theta. So we get that theta equals 104 degrees. So there is our answer. The drawing doesn't look like it, but it is 104 degrees. Thanks for watching. So I hope you know how to use the cosine law and the sine law. There isn't any proof in this video, but you can go to Khan Academy if you ever want to learn how it works.